Yo guys, welcome back. Let me try that again. Yo guys, welcome back to my channel. You're here at Stay Sleek with Kit, and today I'm going to share with you a harsh truth that some of you might need to hear. Let's get it. Are your standards too high? I hate this question because it feels like there's no right way to answer. If you answer yes, then you just sound like a spoiled brat who wants what they don't deserve. But then if you answer no, then you just sound like the same spoiled brat who's delusional about what they deserve. So, is there such a thing as standards being too high? Yes and no. No, in the sense that everyone should have standards for themselves, and we all want to hold ourselves to a high standard. But yes, in the sense that you should be looking for people who apply the same level of standards to themselves as you do to yourself. So even though I hate this question, and most of us probably hate answering it, sometimes you've got to bite the bullet and let your ego take a back seat. You hear all the time from people who are looking for relationships say that they won't accept anything less than the highest standard for what they're looking for, i.e. the top 10%. Well, here's the reality. If you want someone to be in the top 10% in what you look for, you need to be the top 10% in what they look for. And on that note, you need to ask yourself, what kind of standards are you looking for? Are you looking for the same kind as you? Or are you looking for a different kind to you? Let me explain. Take a football team, for example. I know some of you out there like to call it soccer, but this is England, so we're going to call it football. In a team, you have strikers, midfielders, defenders, and goalkeepers. Now, you can have a striker and a goalkeeper of the same standard, but for different reasons. I mean, do you think the goalkeeper, Peter Schmeichel, could score a free kick the way David Beckham did back in the day? Probably not. But then, do you think Beckham could save a penalty with the same power and agility that Schmeichel did? I doubt it. They played on the same team, but in different positions. They were of the same standard, but for different reasons. So are you like that? Or are you more like doubles in tennis? So take like Serena and Venus Williams, for example, where they bring the same kind of standards to be on the same team. Disclaimer, now what I'm about to say, I know not everyone is like this, but let's go real shallow and real simplistic for a sec. We see it all the time, guys like this with girls like this. Now I know you look at this and think, well, she's way more attractive than him, so he is obviously punching above his weight. Now while that is definitely true appearance-wise, is it the same career-wise? I mean, if you look at it career-wise, you could argue that she's punching above her weight. She's not even half as successful as he is. See, it's about what we desire which determines whether someone fits into our top 10% or not. What he desires could be to have a very attractive woman. What she desires could be to have a very successful man. So when you look at it in that way, are either of them actually punching above their weight? Or do they both meet each other's standards? Another example, take Dan Bilzerian. He is constantly surrounded by all these different attractive women. I mean, constantly. Now, do you think all those girls are there because of his capability to grow a really cool beard? To be fair, it's a really awesome beard. Bruh. If you hadn't guessed, no, the beard's not why they're there. They're there because he is one of the best and most successful at what he does, which is gambling, right? How can you be consistently successful at gambling? Surely that just means you're luckier than an Irish leprechaun. Now, let's flip it. Why do you think he's invited them all there to party on his $50 million yacht? Do you think he invited them there because they're all doctors and lawyers and just got a promotion to be the CFO of Google? I mean, if you did, you'd be having your own yacht party. He's invited them there because they are very attractive women. Probably the most attractive in his circles. Now, granted, I just gave a couple of very simple and very shallow examples, but the principle still applies. A lot of us nowadays, especially us millennials, are known for being too entitled. We think we deserve everything without the hard work and sacrifice that it takes to attain it. How can you expect to get a promotion at work when you've only been there for 9 months? How can you expect to land that lead role when you only left drama school a few years ago? How can you expect to date the top 10% if you're not the top 10%? Catch my drift? Now, all that said, I'm not saying you shouldn't have high standards for people that you date, but it's important, whatever standards you apply to them, you have to apply to yourself. Now, if you want to know what guys look for and what girls look for, check out my sexual market video right here, where I go into detail for what guys and girls look for and thus how to make you more desirable. I hope this video has helped you guys out. If it has, give it a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll make sure to respond to it if you do. And as always, keep it slick.
Pow.